Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana and I am so excited to be sharing my love of makeup and beauty with you all. Today I have a palette review of the Glaminatrix You Beauty palette. This is a palette from an Australian indie brand, if you haven't heard of Glaminatrix before. So today I'm going to be sharing a little bit of info about the palette, some swatches so you can see what the shades look like, as well as doing this eye look. It's just a really simple, quick, easy blue eye look, but it does let me play with some of the beautiful shades in here and I'm really excited to show you. So if you want to learn a bit more about this palette or decide if it's worth the price to you, keep on watching. So like I said, Glaminatrix Cosmetics is an Australian indie brand based out of Queensland. So this palette is themed around the beauty of Australia. So I will give you a nice close-up of the cover there. And the back also has the ingredients and all sorts of cute little animals on there. I'm hoping that's focused. And all of the shade names are Australian slang. When you buy the palette, it does actually come with a little card to explain what the slang means if they're words you've never heard before, which if you didn't grow up with Australian family members like I did, you might not know them, that's fine. So it does give you a little card to explain them, but I'll explain them as well as best I can. My family, part of it is Australian, but I was born in Canada, so a lot of these slang words are not words that I would use, and my Australian accent is atrocious, so I'm gonna try not to fall into that because it's bad. This is what the inside of the palette looks like. It comes with 12 shades, 6 are shimmers and 6 are mattes. Some of the shimmers, I believe, are like duo or multi-chromes, although I don't actually know off the top of my head which ones are which. I know this one definitely has a green shift to it. This one shifts pink, this one shifts pink and gold. Old Mate is also a really shifty color. I'm hoping, I don't know if it's showing up, but it goes like yellow to gold to green. There's even like a reddy purple in there. So they are really, really special shades, which I think is pretty cool. Now the palette is expensive. I paid about 95 Canadian dollars to get it to me. The Canadian dollar and the Australian dollar are fairly similar. You usually don't have much of a conversion difference when you're paying between them, but I paid about 95 Canadian dollars to get it. Now, $95 can seem like a lot of money for a palette, and for a lot of people it will be. So I'm not saying that if you don't want to spend that money or if that's not in your budget right now that you're wrong. You're absolutely not. How you spend your money is up to you. But for me, a $95 palette that has 12 shades in it breaks down to a little bit under $8 per shade, which is actually really good when you consider how much single multi-chromes cost. They are very expensive to make, they're very expensive to buy. So for me, I don't mind the price, it doesn't bother me, but that might not be something that everybody is willing to pay, and that's fine. One thing I really like about this palette is the color story is really unique. It's got some cooler tone blues and neutrals, some warmer neutrals and reds, this pop of yellow down here. It's really, really fun to play with. There's a lot of directions you can go, and the colors actually all work really well together. Like today I've gone with a very, very blue look, but you don't have to stick to one color family. All of the shades work really, really well together, which I think is pretty cool because you don't find a lot of palettes that are this sort of unique and different where all of the shades can go together pretty well. The mattes in here are really, really smooth. They blend really easily. The two lightest mattes, which are She'll Be Right and Bloody Oath, they are a little bit more subtle, so if you want a really intense look with those colors, you are going to have to build them out just a touch. But if you like sort of the softer look, that is really achievable with these. The rest of them are very, very bold, and it is actually fairly easy to go overboard with them. So if you're new to eyeshadow or you don't want a really bold look, I recommend going just a little bit at a time and building up rather than going too overboard too quickly. But definitely the shimmers and the multi-chromes are the standouts of this palette. I'm really, really amazed with these. I want to try more from Glaminatrix now. These are absolutely outstanding. So I think I will scooch over a little bit so you can see my arm better and we'll try and do some swatches. All right, so the first shade I have here is Straya. Now, Straya is a word I think a lot of people have heard, but Straya is just a slang term for Australia. It is shortened from Australia, which is shortened from Australia. At least in my family, the Aussies like to just take letters out of words. So Straya is short for Australia. And you can see that has a really beautiful sort of shimmery blue and green shift to it. It's not super pigmented, but you can layer it on top of other shades if you want it to be more intense. Personally, I like it like this. And this next shade I have here, this is Bloody Oath. It is a sort of greeny teal seafoam. Bloody Oath is an exclamation typically used the way North Americans would say, heck yes. It's an excited, positive, like, oh yeah, I'm in. So that's typically how that phrase is used. I really like this shade. This is one of the shades I picked for today. I just think it's so beautiful, and it's a really unique kind of grungy seafoam. I've not really seen that before. Next shade I have is Chalkers, which is this shimmery sort of lilac-y pinky purple. I'm really hoping that's showing up. It's quite subtle, but still very just shiny and shimmery and beautiful. I really, really like this shade. Chalkers, again, is another shortening, usually of the term chock-a-block or chock-full, which means to be very full or full to the brim, and it can be used for people or places or storage units, anything, just very full chalkers. The next shade I have here is Stitch Up. Stitch Up is, I think, the darkest shade in the palette. It's sort of a really beautiful reddish brown shade. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can also get this shade one darker if you have a deeper skin tone and you're wanting something a bit deeper. That option does exist. I am very pale, so I went with the original shade. Stitch Up is a slang word that has a few different meanings. Generally, it means to make a fool out of someone, either by playing a prank on them or even sort of throwing them under the bus. So it can be used in a few different ways, but that's typically what it means. Next shade is Fair Dinkum. This is a deep navy blue kind of shade. It's almost like a royal blue when it's on the skin, but it looks more navy in the pan. I absolutely love this shade. I think it's so beautiful. Fair Dinkum is typically a phrase meaning honestly or literally, as in the sense of, oh, Eric and his mate are fair dinkum magicians. Literally magicians. That's a bad example, but you know what I mean. So that's typically how that phrase is used. You hear people like Robert Irwin, the crocodile hunter's son, you hear him say it a lot, so if you watch interviews with him, you'll pick it up. That's how it's used. Next we have, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful shades in this palette. This is Old Mate. It is a really gorgeous gold to red to burgundy duochrome. It's so shiny. You can see that reflectiveness there. I think that's just absolutely beautiful. I don't have anything like that in my collection, and I have a very big eyeshadow collection, so that shade is just insane. Old Mate is exactly what it sounds like. It is typically a term used to mean my old friend or somebody I used to know, but it can also be used to refer to pretty much anybody. The old mate down the road is the guy down the road. It's got a lot of uses. It's pretty universal. It just is a way to refer to a person without using their name. Next, I have She'll Be Right, which is a sort of taupey, purpley kind of color. I think this one's really nice as well. It's simple and plain, but it just looks so beautiful. She'll be right is a phrase pretty much used to mean she'll be all right or it'll be all right. It can kind of be used in a variety of terms, but that's typically how it's used. This next one is Budgie Smugglers. It is a beautiful, bold red. It's more of a true red than a lot of the reds you get in palettes. I think this one's really gorgeous. Budgie Smugglers is a slang term for Speedos. I will let you figure out why. Ooh, we are getting low on arm space. Whoops. This next shade here is Whoop Whoop. It is the sparkly yellow shade. So like with some of the other sparkles in here, this one is not as pigmented. It is yellow. You can still see it. I'm hoping that's showing up on camera and it's not totally invisible, but it is more of a sparkly topper. Whoop Whoop is a term meaning way out in the backcountry. In Canada here we would say out in the middle of nowhere. They would say out in the middle of Whoop Whoop. Same thing. This next one is the matte yellow. This is Struth. This was one personally I had never heard before, and I did actually have to look up. Struth is an exclamation of surprise or requesting verification, sort of the way we use really. At least that's what it says online. If any of my viewers happen to be Australian and know a different answer, please correct me. But that is what it said online. This next shade is called Flaming Gala. It is a beautiful, shimmery, I feel like it's a duochrome because it's simultaneously like kind of pink and kind of green. I'm really hoping that's showing up well on camera. I cannot tell in the viewfinder if that's even visible. I absolutely love this shade. I think it's an absolutely beautiful topper and it makes a gorgeous inner eye, like inner corner color. It's beautiful. Flaming Gala means idiot. It's an insult, typically questioning your intelligence. And last but not least, we have G'day, which is a sort of gold green multi-chrome shift. Again, I'm really hoping that's showing up. It's very hard to tell on the viewfinder if it is. G'day is a phrase I think most people know, if they're even passively aware of Australia as a country. But if you didn't, G'day is short for good day, or hello, or goodbye. Can be used in a lot of ways, but G'day. So that is the swatches of the entire palette. I'm so sorry that's in a really weird place. With all of the swatches done, let's get into the eye look. Okay, so now that we're a little more zoomed in, we can get started on the eyeshadow look. I'm just gonna move my bangs out of the way. So I'm gonna start with a big fluffy brush, and I am going to grab the shade Bloody Oath, which is right here. That is that sort of seafoamy green one. And I am just going to put that in and above my crease. There are a lot of colors in this palette, so you could go really sort of vibrant and in depth if you really wanted to. I'm gonna go something a little bit gentler, I guess you could say, a little bit simpler for today's eye look, but I still do want to get, you know, a lot of the color out of it, so we're gonna do that too. Next, I'm going to take a slightly smaller blending brush, and I'm going to take Fair Dinkum, which is the dark blue one in the corner. And I am just going to put that into the outer corner and into the actual crease as well. One thing I'm definitely hoping to get better at the longer I do YouTube is being able to like apply makeup on camera without it looking strange. I've not perfected the skill yet, so I appreciate you bearing with me while we work through this together. Alright, and once those are fairly even, I'm going to take that small blending brush again, and I'm going to put Bloody Oath, which is the lighter sort of seafoamy green up here, and I'm going to put that underneath my eyes as well. Because I want there to be some blue underneath my eyes, but I don't want it to be too bold. For the center of my lid, I am going to take this color up here, that is Straya, and I am going to use a flat shader brush for this one. A lot of the shades can be applied with a brush or your finger, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use a brush for this one. I really like this shade because it's like a blue-green flip. So it really kind of complements the blue in Fair Dinkum, but also sort of the greeny teal kind of color in Bloody Oath, which I think is really nice. And I'm just patting that onto the lid here. If you wanted just a purely blue look, you could definitely stop here. I am going to add one more step, and I am going to grab Whoop Whoop, which is the sparkly yellow at the bottom. I'm going to grab that on a flat shader, and I'm going to put that in my inner corners, just for some more bright, fun color. Now this color applies sheerer with a brush and much more intense with a finger, so if you want a really impactful yellow, you can definitely do that. Or if you want something lighter, like what I'm going for here, I'm just going to use my brush. All right, so that is the eyeshadow done. I am going to do my liner, lashes, and the rest of my face off camera, and then I will be back in just a moment. All right, and here we are with the finished look. I just put on some black liner and mascara and a little bit of this Kaleidos lip gloss. I'm realizing now my bangs are way too long and probably in need of a trim, so I should have done that before I started filming, but I didn't, so here we are. But overall, I really like this look. I really like the blue with the green shift to it. I love how like dimensional and sparkly these sparkle shadows are. I really, really like this palette. Overall, I think the U Beauty palette from Glaminatrix Cosmetics is absolutely amazing. It is quite expensive, so you know, you make the decision about whether it's worth that money to you, but for me, it is absolutely worth it. I'm more than happy to pay for it. I do think I got my money's worth, or I will get my money's worth from this palette. I also love the fact that I'm supporting an Australian indie brand. Overall, I think this is a great palette, really positive review, and I'm super excited to keep playing with it more. I hope you found this review helpful today, and maybe it helps you to decide if you want to pick this up on the next release or not. So I hope that you got some good information or you just enjoyed the look. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'd love to see you subscribed and back for my next video. Thanks! Bye!